Hello everybody, welcome back to HardReset.Info channel. This is the Logitech MX Master 2S. Now this one is the MX Master 3S and the new MX Master 4. So each looks familiar, but there are real differences in how they feel, connect and perform. So let's go through them side by side. So here we have the three generations. The first one was in 2017. Now the 3S was in 2022 and the MX Master 4 was released in 2025. So what's changed from the 2S to 3S? We got the big jump to the max speed wheel. Now we also got the 8000 DPI sensor. Now in the MX Master 2S we have the micro USB charging, but in the MX Master 3S we have the USB-C, and it's also a case for the newest one, which is the MX Master 4. We also have the USB-C right here, and we also have the performance jump. So not exactly performance, but from the 3S to the 4 we've got a big jump, because in the 4 we have the customizable haptics, we got the action string, and we also got the USB-C bolt receiver in the box. So as you guys can see here, we have it, we got this in the box. We did not get any cable, we just got the mouse and the dongle. So the first dongle was unifying, so you could connect a lot of devices to one, and its orange indicator showed that. Now the 3S had the standard edition, and it included the Logitech. The Bluetooth edition did not. So the 4 includes the USB-C Logitech in a box, and it's not the same as the unifying one, but still it is very impressive that we got one. Also, you guys might want to use the Bluetooth. I feel like the Bluetooth is the best option out here, but it's just my opinion, and I was always using Bluetooth with the 3S. So now the scroll wheel evolution was huge. So the 2S still uses the old speed adaptive mechanical wheel. It's solid, but every time you try and do some moves with it, you definitely hear it. So you can definitely hear that. Now the 3S introduced the max speed, so you guys know that it was the electromagnetic scrolling that was completely silent and smooth. So as you guys can see, you cannot hear it. The scroll is still going. Now we can stop it. And the MX Master 4, we get the same max speed tag, but we get the new haptic feedback that adds a subtle pulse when, for example, switching modes. Now the side thumb wheel basically remains the same across all models. It's smooth and customizable, but as you guys can see, the placement is different. So in the 2S we got the placement right here. When you see it from the top, it's completely invisible. Here we can see it, but the placement is not good enough. I mean, for me, whenever I was trying to use it, it was not that great. But with the 4, we actually got it right here. It's much more pleasant to use. It's much more better to feel the entire mouse because of it. And now moving on to the sensors and the performance overall, we have the Logitech's dark field sensor that even tracks on glass, but the DPI doubles from 4000 on the 2S to 8000 on the 3S and the 4. So tracking feels nearly identical between the 3S and the 4. Both are ultra precise and they're definitely lag free. Now, as I've mentioned before, the connectivity, we have the dongles. We also have the MX4 upgrade. So it ships with a USB-C bolt receiver, and it has a stronger 2.4 GHz signal, And for the battery life, it is still excellent. So around 70 days on a full charge for all three. And as I've mentioned before, we moved from the micro USB on the 2S to USB-C on the 3S and the 4. Now, for the battery life, this feature is amazing. Not exactly a feature, but an option. Whenever your MX Master 4 runs low on the battery, if you charge it for just 1 minute, you get an extra 3 hours of the battery life. So this is amazing. And now we're gonna move on to the software and the features. So as you guys can see, we have the MX 2S right here. So this mouse is right here. So as you guys can see, it does not have the accurate battery life right here. And we can see the MX Master 2S right here. So now, as you guys can see, we have the Logitech Options Plus app right here. The app is very great. And what we can do here, we have the gestures right here. So this is something we haven't talked about. So the looks are of course ergonomic. And we have the buttons and wheels, we have the connectivity, we've talked about the receiver in the box, the battery life. And now we're gonna talk about the buttons. So as you guys can see, the button right here is basically unclickable. So yes, it is clickable, of course it works. So whenever I try and control my media, you will definitely see that I am controlling it right at the bottom here, but it is very hard to click. It does not feel any type of useful. For me, it's more like a finger. It's the finger rest, and that's basically it. But in the MX3S, we have the same situation, so I'm not gonna talk about that, although they do look different. So this one definitely feels different, looks different, but it's still not that pleasant. But it all changed in the Master 4, and I'm gonna show you why. Here we have the Master 4, and as you guys can see, we've got the actions ring. So now let me place it here, and the actions ring is actually very useful. Now you see my cursor on the screen. Whenever I press on the actions ring right here, we can open, for an example, Chat GPT, and now it's opened. We can do that with the Perplexity. We can also do the same with the Gemini, and at the bottom we have the Copilot. So this is very useful. For an example, we can lock our PC right here. Here we have the Logi Options Plus, and right here we have the Windows screenshot. So I can screenshot this. Now we can open up the emoji keyboards right here. So whenever we search for something, then we can just open up the keyboard and we will search for it. So this is actually very good. Now we have the folder right here. It opens up the file explorer, and we have everything here. So we can see our PC, we can see everything else. So here we can also play our media when we are playing some. If not, then we just won't have it. Here we have the show actions ring, and as you guys can see, we can configure it. So we can change the show actions ring to actually like switch application. So we will be able to switch the application just by clicking. But if we want it changed, we have to wait a couple of seconds. So I do not think this is that useful unless you're running like 25 apps per time. And here we also have the spotlight effects. So we can highlight, we can magnify, and we can also change the magnifier color. So for an example, whenever we press that button at the bottom right here, we will be able to magnify this stuff. So let me just enable it, and everything should be working. So now let's press the button here. As you guys can see, we have the magnifier. We can also disable the highlight for it, and we can only use the magnify. Here we have the AI actions like open chat GPT for an example. So now whenever I click the button, we will see the chat GPT right here, and we can open and close it just by clicking the button. So this is very good. We can also open up the AI prompt builder. So as you guys can see, we can phrase the following text, and we can type whatever here, like hello world, and then just send it. So now it will open up the chat GPT and do its magic. It's very good, but we're gonna focus on the action string. We're gonna click on configure action string, and here, as you guys can see, we have the play and pause playback for an example. We can change that to, let's say, anything else. So as you guys can see, we can open up the system volume. We can toggle the mute, volume up, down. We can also play and pause, next track, previous track, and much more here. So for an example, we can open up the web page, Windows Explorer, settings, desktop, and Windows settings application. So now if I wanted to open up a web page, we can add an action right here, and here enter the URL. So I'll go ahead and enter up the google.com, and here let's save it. And whenever I click on the button right here and go to the web page, we will open up the google.com. So you guys can customize it however you want. You have endless possibilities right here for the newest Master 4. I feel like this mouse is the best one, and it's not because it just released, it's because it feels much lighter, even though it definitely isn't from the 3S. It feels lighter, it's much bigger, but the battery is amazing. Now, moving on, we're gonna go over and create something called the smart actions. So this is actually something not exactly new, but you guys can definitely get a hang of it once you know how to use it. So go back to the main page. Now go over to smart actions right here. And here you guys can enable smart actions like the work mode, meeting mode, or create a new one by clicking create right here. So if device, and we're gonna choose our Master 4. Whenever we click, let's say, the middle button, we can confirm the trigger. Then we can enable, let's say, applications. So for an example, I want to enable settings. We can, let's say, open up the application, and then we can go over and go to application, select settings, and then we want to go over and maximize the application. So now we can try it, and as you guys can see, we will see what happens. So application was not found here, but you guys can definitely have fun with it. So for an example, we can save that and save our smart actions just by calling it right here. Now confirm it, and here we have it. Now we need to make sure that this is active, and here we need to go over and go and click the mouse button. So now after we click the mouse button, we have to wait a bit, and then we will see the settings app open. So as you guys can see, here we have it, and we can have fun with it. We can go over to our Master 4, and here we see that the middle button was basically changed to our smart actions. So it was the middle button right here, but we changed it to our own smart action. So this is how we can do that. We have endless possibilities here too. So if you want to have fun, let's say do a lot of things at once. For an example, we have the work mode. We can see how that looks just by adding it. As you guys can see, if we add a trigger, then we will bring to foreground, we will bring the Google Chrome to the foreground. We will open up the new browser tab, enter the email.com, and then it will press enter, and it will enter the Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint to the foreground. So this is how the work mode looks like. You guys can also see the social media break. For an example, we will open up the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp. And also we will bring the Spotify to the foreground. Of course, if you have an error right here, that means you do not have the app on your PC, and I do not have Spotify. That's why it just won't work unless I delete it. And now you guys can click on save, and then we can also change it in the MX Master 4 from the middle button to the social media break. Now, as you guys can see, it opened up everything. Now we have the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp. So this is how it looks like. Of course, it did not open Spotify for me because I deleted it. Sorry, not deleted exactly, but I deleted it from here because I do not have it on my PC. And as you guys can see, it worked perfectly fine. So you guys can have fun with these smart actions. They are very cool. And also the action ring, what you guys can do with it is you guys can create folders right here. So for an example, let me show the actions ring right here. And now what we can do, we can configure it. And for an example, we can add a folder. So we can add a folder. It's only for the apps like the, let's say, Adobe Premiere Pro or some montage app. So it's for the apps that require a lot of productivity and apps that require being fast. Not exactly fast, but you need to know where everything is. So when you open up an app, then you will see the folder options pop up. As you guys can see, we do not have it whenever we do not open the app, and I do not have it on my PC. But you guys can basically create the folders just by adding two things at once. So this is very great. Now let's move on from the actions ring and actually compare these three again. So the only major differences from the MX Master 2S to 3S is the DPI, the scroll mechanism, and the click switches. So the click switches, as you guys can see, you guys can definitely hear it. Now we're gonna move on and click on the Logitech Master MX3. So here we have the MX3. Now we're gonna click on it, and as you guys can see, the MX3S sounds like this. You guys probably won't even hear that because it's that quiet. Even I cannot hear it that well. So this is the major difference between those two generations. Of course, the charging port is much different because we have the micro USB here and we have the USB-C right there. And the wireless receiver is different because here we have the Unibolt and here we have the unifying. So the bolt basically connects one device and the unifying could connect, I think it was either 3 or 4 easily at the same time. So now the differences from the MX Master 3S to the MX Master 4, the DPI still is 8000 DPI, but we have the max speed and we have the haptic feedback in the 4. Also, we got the quiet click, which is 9% quieter, so you won't hear this mouse either. The USB-C is the same. It has the same Logitech, except this is the USB-A and this is USB-C. And the 4 has the stronger 2.4 GHz signal, so it's an upgrade. Also, it has the action ring, which I've showed you guys. It has everything else, like shortcuts, haptics. And 4 is slightly larger, and it is also heavier by a couple of grams, but you definitely won't notice the difference between this one and this one. I think you would probably say that the 3S is much lighter because I did the same before I checked the weight of those two mouses. Now, before it continues the flow in Options Plus, the software support, and for the flow, you guys can use the same mouse on 2 PCs at the same time. You just have to use the Logi Flow, and I cannot use that because I only have one device with me right now. But that's a quick fun fact that you guys should know. And these differences definitely matter in practice. So for example, the DPI. If you're using a higher DPI, then it definitely matters. The signal, the action string definitely helps save a lot of time. And these are the key differences between those three mouses. So, in my opinion, the 2S still feels great, but I feel like this mouse is definitely aging. So it has the micro USB and the old receiver basically holds it back. So the 3S for me hit the sweet spot. So it had the quiet clicks, it had the USB-C and the 8000 DPI option. But the 4 adds haptics and action ring shortcuts, and I feel like it's great for the power users. And I think that it is a huge gap in performance between the 3S and the 4. Even though you guys can also customize the 3S the way we did with the 4, but it definitely won't be the same. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more breakdowns like this, and I hope this video helped you. So see you in the next one.